I remember some of the best advice I received, and it wasn't that long ago. It was maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I was at a speaking event, and I met this amazing couple who was a missionary couple from I forget which African country, but they started this hospital in an area where there had been no healthcare services. They did these incredible feats. They had 3 young children during the time.
Wow.
They did this together. They're both doctors with very young children. And I remember asking the woman, because the sons are like they're grown up and they're super good. There's not like the sad missionary kid story of like they went off the deep end and had a horrible, I mean, I know there's obviously tragic stories that are not everybody necessarily the parents' fault, but the point is they had this really healthy family from what I understood. So I was asking her specifically, how did you do that? You built institutions in a foreign country with very limited resources and support, and you seem to have really been successful in raising this family.
Yeah.
How did you do it? And she used this phrase, she said, I had them sit at my feet. She brought them with her. She took them with her. And I think in that culture she was in, it's a very accepting culture of children just being everywhere.
Yeah.
So I think that helped, but they were a part of her work, and she taught them. She took maybe that 20 minutes multiple times a day to stop and teach them something and engage with them. She made sure their needs were met. She made sure they were safe, that she had some structures for them, but they were part of the family project. And I love that idea that there's a family project that each family's called to primarily help each other get to heaven, like help each other glorify God. But then as part of that, serve the people around you.
Yeah, I love
Bring
that.
other people with you.
And I think when we have toddlers, sometimes it feels so impossible because toddlers are going through something. They're always going through something because, I mean, it's just natural. Yeah, they're like trying to be independent, which is great, but they don't realize how dependent they really are. And so there are a lot of emotions that are tied to that, and learning obedience and all of those things. But I've learned like something in parenting that the thing that takes the longest is usually the right thing. Not always, but is usually the right thing. The quicker, easier thing to do when your kids are unruly or when your kids are like, oh my gosh, like they're not obeying or they're going through this whiny stage or whatever, is to satiate them with a screen. Or to, I don't know, do just like the quickest fixed thing. To not take them with you. Yeah.
Put them in front of a movie or give them a cookie or
and I'm
whatever.
Not saying that's always wrong by any means. Of course, there are times that we do that. Or the easiest thing is to not take them with you. Like the easiest thing is to not include them.
Including in work stuff and mission stuff.
Because they are going to slow you down. It would be easier for you to do it by yourself. It would be easier to not include them in things. It would be easier to not teach them things. It would be easier to not make them do hard things. It would be easier to not let them make mistakes. It would be easier to not get through that difficult period before they figure out how to entertain themselves, like that period of boredom where they're constantly asking you to like do something for them. It would be easier to just curtail that and give them something easy to do that distracts them, like a phone game or something. Like the thing that takes longer in parenting, I've realized, is typically the right thing to do. And that is so true of what you just said, of like inviting kids into your mission, and discipling your kids. Like it's so easy to think when your kids are toddlers and it seems like they don't understand things, that there's no use in praying with them. There's no use in reading the Bible to them. There's no use in trying to get them to memorize these things because they can't. Or, they're being silly every time I try to pray with them. Or I might read them the Bible, they act like they understand it, and they turn around and hit their sister, whatever it is. But then one day you pray, and then your 4-year-old takes over and starts praying, and you're like, fruit.
It's amazing.
There's fruit. I didn't see the fruit, but there it is.
They know the prayers that you've been saying that you're not even sure they were paying attention to.
Yes. And
it's an incredible experience when they start to say the words back to you. And then they ask the questions. Like our 4-year-old is asking all these theological questions every night.
Yes. That's fruit.
It's beautiful.
That's fruit. Yeah. And all those difficult periods, all that time where you were like, nope, I'm going to do the harder thing right now. I'm going to do the more difficult thing. I'm going to do the longer bedtime routine, even though I'm tired. That includes the Bible reading. That includes the praying. Because even if I don't see the fruit right now, I know that God is going to be faithful in that.